You're listening to the Weekly Thoughts podcast hosted by Rahul Shenoy, Sai Bakumala, Nisha Stana, and Rahul Samba. Spawned after our late night conversations, we'll be discussing our perspectives on current topics, trends, issues, and more. Tune in every Saturday to catch our latest episode.
So there's a lot of news about SpaceX, and I was just wondering what you guys think about space exploration.
Have you guys heard about SpaceX's mission to send a manned flight to Mars on, let me see here, 2024? Have you guys heard about that?
I've heard roughly about that. I just didn't know the date. I knew the event was happening. I just didn't know when.
Yeah, I knew that they were making preparations and all that in order to complete the first successful manned mission to Mars. I remember hearing about that in the news. And I think I heard rumors about that as early as around 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit skeptical about it though. I think he says he's gonna do it, but I remember when I was a kid, we were like, oh, did you hear in the news we're gonna go to Mars in 3 years or 4 years? And it kept on getting delayed. I think he says 2024, but I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen by then.
Okay, but I think the examples you're thinking of are mainly NASA, right?
Yeah, but I feel
I'm not saying that everything is getting delayed, but I'm saying maybe it's just NASA. Maybe a different change in corporation will make it a better reason, I guess.
Possibly. I don't know how
they'll
much,
be less delayed, is what I meant to say.
Cool. I mean, I don't know how much of a impact it has being a private company and why that differs from being public like NASA, but I guess it just means they have more reign on their projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, I'm more skeptical about the reason to go to Mars because you keep on hearing about stuff like Earth is, becoming kind of overpopulated and uninhabitable, and I don't buy that. There's this Neil deGrasse Tyson quote out there that says, if we have the resources to turn Mars into Earth, we can turn Earth back into Earth. Meaning what is the point of even trying to try to inhabit Mars?
So I think he's trying to say, instead of wasting all the resources, time and all that in order to colonize a planet that like Mars, which doesn't really seem feasible, might as well focus on the problems that we're facing here on Earth. And then in order to work on restoration and all that and reclaim back the environment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't really think that you can sort of reverse the effects of climate change and all that. I don't think you can exactly. That's why they're looking into Mars. I think that's one of the reasons why they're looking into Mars, because they can't reverse climate change. So
you guys really think though colonization of Mars is really feasible? And what approaches do you think that either NASA or SpaceX are going to do in order to make it probable?
Well, what do you mean by approaches?
In my opinion, I just feel the living conditions of Mars and all that, it's obviously scientifically not possible. So my question.
Yeah, fair reason. Yeah, you can't just live on Mars, bro.
I'm sure that they've done the research though.
Well, okay, you can conduct as much research as possible. What are they gonna do? Build domes and something and just have them live there?
That's what they plan on doing. They plan on making structures so that humans are never just on the surface of Mars without a.
But don't you think that in a way it also kind of, it's not really ideal? It's just being confined to a dorm constantly. You're not even allowed to go outside freely without wearing some type of protection.
Coronavirus.
That's kind of what's happening right now. Yeah, so you're kind of okay with it right now, right?
There's even other.
Not really, but the thing is, I'm doing it just obviously because I have to.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing. If you're living on Mars, you're doing it because you have to.
I think there's other variables out there. It takes 6 months. On the SpaceX website, it says that a one-way trip will take 6 months, right? Who would be the first people that say, yeah, I'm going to go live on Mars for a long period of time and actually take that 6 month journey? Who Who's
I
gonna be
mean,
the first people
there's
there?
people who do like rotations around the Earth, and that's
Yeah,
far
they stay
longer
up there
than
for like
6
longest, like what, a year, right?
Yeah, but 6 months is still shorter than a year.
No, but it's the 6 month trip, and then you're staying on there for like years on end. Like, who's gonna do that? Like,
I feel like that's more reasonable than orbiting the Earth. I feel like that'd be a better mission than orbiting the Earth,
no,
because
but
it's
what
one,
would
it's
make more
longer,
people rather
and
just
two, you
live?
have some sort of thing to like stand on, I guess.
But
Because
don't
or else
you
you're just
think
sitting for the whole year.
okay, but you're assuming that like their only options are like orbit the Earth or go to Mars, right? But like,
I guess, yeah, that's fair.
wouldn't they rather just live on Earth? See, there's that. Then there's also like how would politics work? Like now that you're expanding to Mars, right? And then the economics, like what resources, like would there be trade with the people on Mars, or how would our tax dollars go into Mars? Like there's just so much that
And the thing is, like, yeah, how are they gonna conduct like mass trips to Mars if it takes 6 months to travel there back and forth? How are they gonna be able to have people constantly just go there back and forth in a short amount of time? Kind of how we travel from different countries.
Well,
see
I,
that
I think
You gotta,
if you
yeah.
want to
At that point, you just have to take such a small group of people, and then you're wondering like, what, what type of people that small group would be comprised of? Like, would it be astronauts? Would it be, you know, just general people? Would it be like important officials in the government, or like who would want to go on a trip like that?
well, I think as space technology improves, like the time to Mars will probably be lessened. I mean, maybe not like flight worthy. I mean, maybe not like 2 or 3 hours like flights now. Maybe not like that, but I think the flight time will definitely be decreased over time. And I think that Mars is sort of built as like a backup planet. I don't think it's really built as a secondary planet just to have on the side. I think it's more as like if we can't live on Earth anymore, then we go to Mars. I think that's what scientists are like designing it to be. That's just my look on it.
see, and then but if that's the case, like I see your point, and then but then there's a question of how many resources while we're still safe on Earth do we want to put into Mars, assuming that like Earth becomes an uninhabitable, and if Earth never becomes that bad, then did all those resources waste? But like if we never put any resources and Earth does get bad, then we wish we did. Like there's this whole, it's so complicated.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
there's like a whole other thing about like if you put time into this, you're kind of like taking less time in order to focus on like the problems that we have ourselves on Earth. Like all that time spent being used on trying to colonize Mars, you know, and achieve like commercial space flight and all that. Like all that time is going to be used and like distracted itself from away from like focusing on some of the environmental problems that we face here, you know. Like although like I know some climate change effects are irreversible now, there's still many problems that we as humans can fix, and like we've seen a lot of these problems also like improve because of corona due to less pollution, less daily activities and all that, and less waste and all that, and we've seen it still like improve due to less uh, day-to-day activities by humans. So what do you guys think about like these two space exploration companies like NASA and SpaceX working together in order to complete daily missions or things like that going on?
I think it's a cool way to pool resources together, and kind of just propel the U.S. as like one of the leading nations in space exploration. Like it definitely helps us get a jump start or a head start above other countries.
Yeah, I think actually recently, I don't know if you guys know this, but when they launched Falcon 9, the astronauts, apparently SpaceX is now working with NASA in order to help like retrieve those astronauts back. So they're making the spacecraft needed for that. Um, and I think it's kind of interesting because I think it's a good use of combining resources, combining like ideas, people, and all that. And I think like what we were talking about before about how like we may think it's like wasting resources and stuff. I feel like combining these two would make like the process of continuing further like, ideas way more efficient and feasible maybe.
Have you guys heard about the reusable rockets that like land by themselves on the boats that SpaceX has been making?
oh really? No, I haven't heard of this.
Really? Wait, okay. I'm gonna go look up for a video to show you guys. You guys can keep talking real quick.
Okay. That's actually kind of interesting.
Okay, look at this.
Yeah,
See that?
That's crazy.
it's kind of sick, dude.
SpaceX.
Yeah, we don't want to hear the rest of that.
Wait,
It's a little bit laggy, but we got the concept.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like reusable rockets, like that's a step up from the shuttle, where it just detaches back into the ocean.
Cause I remember like a couple like years ago, there was a lot of debate on like rocket fuel and how like it's just like you guys have seen like the big launchings, right? How like it's just so much fuel that's being used
Mhm.
and just dumped into the atmosphere.
Mhm.
And there's really nothing they could do because you need that amount of like fuel to just break through like the barrier, the atmosphere barrier. You just need that amount of fuel. But now that they have like the reusable ones, they don't really need to waste materials on building the spaceship again. And now they can use all the materials on finding better fuel and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like SpaceX better. I feel like they're a little more innovative than NASA, but that's just me.
I think more than innovative, they're innovative and environmental, or trying to be environmentally friendly. Because like, I know space exploration in general is pretty hard to be environmentally friendly, but at least they're making an attempt at it. Whereas I haven't heard of NASA making any sort of attempts like this.
Yeah, and I think they're really concerned with like future missions and stuff, and they're really thinking about the future generations and stuff, and trying to make the process way more efficient, and then try to minimize like waste and all that, you know. And I think this is like definitely a great step in like what they've been doing. Like that's actually great. I had no idea that they're able to reuse rockets.
Yo, wait, so Sai, what do you think about all this?
honestly, I'm not that like skilled in this topic. Like I think all of us aren't like that. Again, like not that skilled, and I don't want to say anything wrong here, but like it would be interesting in just my opinion, just to see like how it'll turn out. Again, we don't know how the future will play out, so we can't really say anything about it. Um, but I don't know. I've had like I think we've all had like fascinations about space since we were kids, right? Like a lot of kids are like, I want to go to space. Like I'm pretty sure most boys in elementary school are like, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. I think that's like most people. So like, I feel like it'll be interesting to just see like how everything will play out in the future. But it's really cool. It's super interesting. But you know, it's still unpredictable. I feel like it's too unpredictable at this point, especially with the stuff that's out there right now. But that's just my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see like what happens.
Yo, fun fact.
Matthew McConaughey's last movie ever.
Yo, fun fact. If you're looking someone go into a black hole, you don't see them just go into the black hole. You'll see them go in, and then it just appears that they freeze there, because the light beyond a certain point won't reach your eyes, because the black hole pulls the light in. So you just see the person go, and then they freeze there. It gets
That's
redshift
crazy.
and disappear. It's so whack, dude.
It's just crazy to think though, like just thinking about like the stuff that happened in space. It's beyond imagination. Like stuff we obviously most of us may not even know about.
Yeah, like, is there an edge to the universe? Is the universe infinite?
No.
If you keep going one way, do you just eventually end up back where you started?
I think the factor of infinity is sort of mind-boggling to the human mind, just because everything we have is finite, right?
Mhm.
Like there's a certain amount of it.
Like a
There's,
finite distance, a finite number.
I think the
finite
fact that there
thing
is
to have.
no end to it is a little bit confusing for us to grasp.
Yeah, it's crazy that the universe, like the Big Bang happened billions of years ago, and it's still accelerating. The expansion of the universe, it's accelerating.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
relativity.
And all that energy was like in a tiny little ball at one point. All that mass, all that energy.